And hello, everyone. Welcome to Cobb County and outside Truist Park at the Battery. I'm Jeff Hullinger. What a night. If you are an Atlanta sports fan, savor this. Don't forget it. Remember where you were on Saturday night when the Braves went up 3-1 on the Houston Astros, a team that had been the prohibitive favorite coming into this World Series, a team that had won 95 games in the regular season with the most explosive offense to be found in Major League Baseball, and the Braves have absolutely taken it to them. Now up 3-1 in this series, and they do it on a night when it looked like their bats were as cold as the temperatures of North Georgia. They were doing little offensively tonight, and it began in a very troubling way. Starting pitching not effective tonight at all, with Lee loading up the bases and was taken out by Brian Snitker. And, you know, one of the stories of this World Series has been the fact that the Houston Astros have left so many base runners stranded. You cannot do that in the postseason. It will come back to bite you, and it certainly has with the Astros in this series. So the Braves were down 2-0, and it was the kind of night where they just weren't really getting much done, and all of a sudden they get a run in the 6th, and then back-to-back home runs in the 7th from Swansby, and also Soler, who hits the home run, and there's your ball game, 3-2 at that point. You know, Dansby Swanson is such a great story. I mean, here's a guy who grows up in Marietta. You know, he goes to Vanderbilt. As a boy, he was dreaming about playing for the Braves. He used to watch the Braves, and to think that he would be able, in his home county, in his home area, with his hometown team, would be able to hit a game at a World Series that just might lift them to the first World Championship here since 1995. It is extraordinary, and the energy behind me is something to savor and to experience as well. We're hearing so many chants. We're hearing people absolutely are going wild tonight, and why not? You know, they're up 3-1. They can close out this World Series tomorrow here at Truist and not have to worry about going back to Texas and Houston and winning there, which of course is an arduous task, is always in Minute Maid, which is that sort of small, quirky ballpark where the Astros have been so stout, so strong, and so effective all season long. All right, let's go inside Truist right now. Dusty Baker, the manager of the Astros, is at the podium. Let's hear some of his thoughts tonight.
Got the crowd excited, you know, especially, you know, we knew that short wall in right field was going to come to effect sooner or later, but we were hoping that it would come to our benefit. But it came to theirs, you know, and I thought that Alvarez, you know, had a shot. That'd have been a fantastic play. And, you know, like they, you know, they've been playing us tough. They've been playing us real tough. And so, you know, we gotta win tomorrow. I mean, we've had our backs to the walls before, so you know, our guys know what to do. I mean, there's not a whole bunch to be said. I mean, we know what we have to do. We have to win tomorrow.
Danielle and then Jesse.
When Alvarez fielded Riley's hit in the 6th,
yeah.
In your view, what would have been the ideal way for that play to unfold? Because it seemed like he wasn't really sure.
Well, you know, the ideal way was to you know, to hit the cutoff man. And, you know, I thought that we had Riley at second base. I thought he came off the bag. It looked like, you know, from our view and from the video, I was surprised when they called him safe. You could tell that Freddie Freeman was going all the way, trying to draw the throw. And, you know, we just didn't execute the way that we usually do.
Jake, halfway back on your left.
Dusty, because of the nature of the game, you face some important pinch hit decisions. Just wondering if you could shed some light on Greinke batting for himself in the 3rd, and also Mar went from the left side in the 5th when he struggled from the left side.
Well, I mean, you know, you only have so many choices. I mean, Greinke swung the bat well. I mean, he got the pitch that he was looking for, and we really needed to stretch, Greinke out some, because we've been going to that bullpen like super early every day. And, Marvin was a choice at that time because I knew I was going to have to save Diaz, later in the game. And you can second guess all you want to. It's just a matter. That was my decision. And, we had left some runners out there prior to that.
Far back on the right, Jesse.
Dusty, could this be one of those rare times where you may have to tinker with the batting order? I'm thinking about, Bregman's spot in particular.
All right, that's Dusty Baker, and the way it works in Major League Baseball is the losing team is always up first as far as the news conference goes with reporters. The Rays will be following the Astros upon completion of the interviews that they give with the reporters. I mean, I was just sort of standing here listening to Baker thinking, could you have imagined that we would be here talking about such things on August 5th when the Braves looked like they were a team that were, going nowhere? Did anybody at any point during the summer really believe that they were capable of being on the doorstep of winning the World Series as November approaches? It is staggering to think about how far they have come. You think about the best teams in Major League Baseball this season, the San Francisco Giants, the Dodgers in terms of record. They knock each other out. And then you've got the Houston Astros. So here we are, and it is amazing. Let's go downstairs right now. Joe Ripley is in the Battery amongst all those fans.
Hey, good evening to you, Jeff. As the clock has struck midnight, we are now in Halloween officially. A scary great comeback tonight for the Atlanta Braves, plain and simple. Take a look at the crowd behind me. They are pumped, ecstatic. And you were talking about it earlier with the Braves down a lot of this game. In the sixth, they got halfway there. And then in the seventh, the back-to-back home runs. Very characteristic of the way the Braves have fought all year long to get to this stage. Fans just now chanting, one more game. They know business is not officially taken care of, but they know they can take care of that business tomorrow and win the franchise's first World Series, the Braves' first World Series since 1995. How sweet would that be for Braves fans? Folks still filing out of Truist Park right now, and this atmosphere is simply electric, Jeff. All night long, we have had thousands join us down here in the Battery, those who couldn't quite afford to get in or couldn't quite make it into Truist Park. But once the Braves hit those back-to-back home runs to eventually go ahead and stay ahead in this game, the crowd got behind them. We've talked all night long about the home field advantage. The Braves still keeping that streak alive and intact. They have never lost a home game this postseason.
All right, Joe, thank you. I was also standing here thinking about every one of these Braves teams that have won the National League Championship Series and found themselves in the World Series have been special, and they are definable. They all have that certain thumbprint or signature that we remember them by. And, there are always those comparisons between teams. And quite frankly, I don't know who you would compare or which team you would compare this 2021 version of the Atlanta Braves. It's like nothing really we have ever seen. I mean, you think about how awful and how slow they began and the cataclysmic injuries that they had and the circumstances of which they could not control, which obviously Ronald Acuna comes immediately to mind. And there were so many people, the majority of fans, majority of us reporters assumed, well, you play out the string and you hope for better times in 2022. But that has not been the case. Oftentimes in sports, these unpredictable teams that get hot, that get on a run, that seem to feed off of each other, find ways to create championships. And this is exactly what we're seeing. And in 1995, the Braves team that won the World Series, I've never believed that was the best Braves team of the 1990s. Yet they were the only Braves team to go on and win the Commissioner's Trophy. This Braves team is similar to that in terms of these acquisitions of July 30th that have delivered so marvelously and grandly, and Soler and Peterson. I mean, it's unbelievable to think what these guys have accomplished. And again, they are not done yet. They still have they've got to win another game against a really talented Houston Astros team that might get hot offensively, but we have not seen that in this series. You know, when you think about the Astros, certainly from the season past, you think about a team that scores runs in a flurry, and certainly doesn't leave as many base runners stranded as they have. And that has really been one of the headlines of this World Series, has been Houston's inability to push runs across. I mean, we saw it again tonight. They had a lot of opportunities, but this Braves team just seems to find the energy in these close games. They seem to believe that they are going to come out on top. And certainly you look by the numbers, and they've done exactly that. They have not lost a postseason game here at Truist. And you look at the teams that they have been able to beat in the postseason in Milwaukee, Los Angeles, and now one game away from eliminating Houston. And these are teams collectively that have 32 wins more than what the Braves accomplished in the regular season. Unprecedented in the history of baseball. It has not happened. And that is really the signature and the thumbprint of this team and what they have done. It is mind-boggling to stand here, and so many of these fans behind me right now, as they are filing out, you can just sort of feel this energy and this buzz. I think any of us who have spent enough time in Atlanta stadiums, Atlanta Metro stadiums and venues, whether it's the Falcons or the Braves or the Hawks or Georgia Tech or Georgia, you know, we haven't had many of these kinds of opportunities, these moments to savor when we stand on the doorstep of history. And right now we want to go inside to Truist Park right now. Maria Martin and Reggie Chapman have been watching the game and have been talking to players, and it's all yours, guys.
Jeff, it's unbelievable. I heard you talking a little bit about how the city of Atlanta's been waiting for something like this, and they haven't had the opportunity to be one win away from a World Series championship title in a very long time. You've got a crowd of people over here past Reggie screaming for Dansby, who's about to be on the MLB Network set. But Reggie, what an electric atmosphere. Let's start with that before we get into the nooks and crannies of this game. The atmosphere, bananas.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. But it's funny, too, because the way that it started off with the Astros taking so much momentum early, that the crowd was kind of out of for a lot of this game, but
yeah,
it seemed like every moment, every pitch, this crowd was just waiting for something to cheer for. And boy, did they have something to cheer for in that seventh inning, man. I mean, two back-to-back home runs, unreal scene here at Truist Park.
Yeah, it's really weird because yesterday I felt like everyone was a lot more excited early, and, you know, like you said, they didn't have much to cheer about. Dylan Lee went in there, got into a lot of trouble in the early inning. Kyle Wright came in. Let's talk about what an amazing job Kyle Wright did. 4 2/3 innings pitched. He was able to get out of a bases-loaded jam. What about Kyle Wright today?
Man, unbelievable. And I want to give you a shout out as well. You before the game said Kyle could have a big impact in this game. But yeah, Kyle Wright, unbelievable, 4 2/3. I mean, just you talk about that moment. He comes in with the bases loaded, 1 out. I mean, just the ability to get out of the inning, limit the damage, and how important was it for him to go as long as he did as well? I mean, in a game like this where you know you want to have some good pitching, you want to have guys go longer, and when Dylan Lee didn't pitch very well, Kyle came in and really saved the day for this team, kept it close, and it really ended up working out.
Kyle really did, I think, everything you could have asked him to do in a situation like this. Let's get to the hitting because Austin Riley, clutch as always, an RBI in the 6th to go ahead and cut into that Astros lead. It was 2-1 at that point. Then in the 7th, Reggie just talked about it, those back-to-back home runs. It started with Dansby Swanson, who hasn't hit a postseason home run until tonight. I swear, there is something about this ballpark. It's so electric here. Jeff was talking about how they haven't lost a game inside Truist Park. Take the fans inside, if they weren't here, the moment when Dansby just went yard.
Well, it's funny, too, because you got to realize this about Dansby Swanson. Coming into this at-bat, he had only had one postseason extra base hit in this entire postseason in 50 at-bats. Hits a home run on the biggest stage in the biggest moment to tie this game, and the crowd, the atmosphere, the moment, it's something that you could only dream of if you're Dansby Swanson. You could tell after the game how much that moment meant for him. You could tell how much it was when he was rounding those bases. For Jorge Soler to do it the next at-bat to make history, unbelievable for this team.
Yeah, it's also really crazy because that was a big moment. And then Jorge Soler, you know, he's talking about it. He went ahead and hit the insurance home run. That thing, I felt like Truist Park was going to explode at that point. I mean, the ballpark was just shaking. And actually, that was the first lead change that we've seen in the World Series so far. We haven't seen that. Any team that's been ahead in the series so far has taken command and kept command. So, you know, the bats were a concern, I think, early. But then when you got later down into the stretch, when you start talking about the 8th inning with this team, you get a little bit nervous because you know what happened to them against the Dodgers. But tonight, really impressive stuff. The bats were able to come through in a big way. And also, Jorge Soler was pinch hitting in that home run as well.
Yeah, really, and also it was historic. It was the first time in Braves postseason history in a World Series game that they hit back-to-back home runs. This is the 17th time in World Series history, first time for the Braves in their storied franchise history. It's unbelievable just how big that moment was to take the lead in that inning. Like you said, the pitching later in that game, or to finish off the game, was unbelievable. You get Luke Jackson, you get Tyler Matzik, and of course Will Smith comes in tonight that shuts it down. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
To get those performances from guys that just pitched yesterday and pitched well yesterday, huge for this team.
And Snicker has consistently said that guys like Matzik and Luke Jackson can go again tomorrow, which is huge because, of course, tomorrow will be the time where hopefully they're putting rings on their finger and you're going to need that bullpen in full strength. It's amazing to me. They call Tyler Matzik the rubber arm, and they have all year because he's been pitching in almost every single game this postseason and done it really well. So I think moving into tomorrow, they're going to have another bullpen game, which is scary when you think about closing out a series. But the Astros, let's talk about them for a second. The Astros bats have been surprisingly quiet, especially when you're talking about a lineup that has had so much power throughout the year. What did you see from the Astros that I guess maybe shocked you a little bit tonight?
Well, I think really what was interesting is they were going up against arms maybe they haven't seen. I mean, you've never seen Kyle Wright before, and he goes out there and shoves for multiple innings. And of course, then you get the big dogs. Luke Jackson, he's going to be good. Tyler Matzik, he's going to be always good. I mean, it's not Braves baseball if you don't see Tyler Matzik coming into the game. Of course, Will Smith at the end there. So I think really more than anything, the pitching for the Braves was really good in this moment. And it's funny also that Jose Altuve home run, or what would have been a home run when Eddie Rosario caught it at the wall. That ball would have been out in 26 of 30 ballparks in the MLB. It would have been out at Minute Maid Park, but not here at Truist Park. That ball is caught, and it's a huge moment for this team.
And Eddie Rosario, I think, saved him from the little mishap that he had yesterday. Robbing Jose Altuve of yet another home run in this game was obviously clutch. Very good by him. Now, I don't think that they were prepared for Kyle Wright. Of course, they saw him earlier in this series, struck out the side, did a great job in relief, came in relief yet again. You know, typically he's a starting pitcher, but I can't talk enough about Kyle Wright. For some reason, I've been so hype about Kyle Wright for a very long time. And I think it's because everyone tends to think about Game 3 of the NLCS last year against the Dodgers with Kyle Wright. He gave up 11 runs in the first inning, remember? Okay, we've talked about it. Let's get rid of it. Let's not think about it anymore. But I think that sticks in the minds of Braves fans. He's done a lot of work in AAA this season, done a lot of work on his pitching, trying to command the strike zone. He did that tonight and really, again, got out of a pretty big jam. Let's look forward to tomorrow. What do the Braves need to do to start thinking about, dare I say it, a World Series championship?
Well, they need to do what they did tonight.
Yeah.
Great pitching and keep really what is a historic offense off balance and continue to get runners or get batters out. I mean, I think the Astros started this game 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Obviously, they really went cold in the later half of this game. Even after that Jose Altuve home run earlier in the game, you thought, well, this game is still close. So the pitching was able to keep them close enough, and the Braves bats showed up when they needed to, and they need to do that again tomorrow if they want to pull out a win and pull out another World Series title, first time since 1995.
You know, there was a time in the game where they hadn't even been in scoring position yet. I mean, you're watching the Astros consistently hit. I think they had 10 hits at that point, 6, something like that. And then finally the Braves get in scoring position and were able to capitalize. That is what the Braves need to do tomorrow. Of course, we know about the bullpen game. They need to capitalize on that starting pitching as well, because what Dylan Lee did today, not great. I started to get really nervous when I saw that it was bases loaded, and Kyle only giving up 1 run in that inning was saving grace, I think, in the first inning. All right, so you think that pitching is important. The bats are important. Reggie, are the Braves going to do it tomorrow?
I'd like to think so, and I think that for not only us, not only for the fans, but I mean, this team wants to try and handle it at home. I mean, look, you get a 3-1 lead in the World Series. You have a chance to win it at home in Truist Park. That's a situation that you would love to be in. I mean, if you come into this series, you're in that position, this is the game that you want to win. You don't want to go back to Houston.
No,
you really don't. Never know. And I mean, we're not going to talk about last year in 3-1 leads because it's done.
Over. They're here in the World Series.
They're in the
it's
World
cool.
Series at the end of the day. So all this team needs to do is they need to focus on tomorrow, of course. And I mean, I think personally they'll be able to get it done.
Yeah, and I think the 3-1 lead thing was really a Dodgers thing. I still have said, you know, time and time again, I think the Dodgers were a mental roadblock for the Braves. And now this team, it really honestly feels a little bit like destiny. I hate throwing out that word, but this team is so different, and we've watched them evolve over the year. And you talk about guys like Eddie Rosario, Jorge Soler. Just a couple months ago, they weren't even in the Braves clubhouse, and now they're potentially going to lead the Braves to a World Series championship. It is mind-blowing to think about what Alex Anthopoulos did at the trade deadline. That outfield looks different. This infield has been fantastic. Austin Riley, another huge play by him on third base today. This team is so much fun, Jeff. I really think it's possible that the Braves could do it tomorrow. And like Reggie said, you don't want to get on the plane and go back to Houston. You want to get it done here in Atlanta, especially because perfect here in Truist Park so far. What better could it be? You got to win tomorrow. It's possible for the Braves. We'll see how that bullpen can hold up.
All right, guys. Thank you. Well done. And we will see what happens tomorrow. We will see. It will be a sleepless night for a lot of people in Atlanta Metro and also in the region and around the country who follow the Atlanta Braves, hoping for the first World Championship for this team in 26 years. There certainly is an irony as I listen to you guys talking about, trying to cobble together a pitching staff for tomorrow night, trying to figure out who to start and how your rotation is going to look if there are games beyond tomorrow night. And the irony in all of this is that is something Bobby Cox never had to worry about all through the 1990s with what was arguably the greatest starting pitching of the 20th century. And you would assume with the kind of pitching the Braves had back then that, there would be a lot of opportunities to have world championships. Well, there were, but they didn't deliver on them. Unlike this team has an opportunity with a patchwork staff of pitchers, the injury to Charlie Morton, and now they have to try and figure out what they're going to be able to do for tomorrow night, and hopefully that will be the end. But you do have to think about the possibility of Game 6 and 7 in Houston on Tuesday and Wednesday. But this is an incredible run by this Atlanta Braves team, which has been unprecedented through all of the great baseball that we have witnessed over the last 30 years. This team stands unique in what they have been able to accomplish, and the obstacles and the barriers that they have been able to leap over at a single bound. And Brian Snitker is the man in the middle of all of this who has pulled all the right levers, continues to do so. He is that mixture of old school and new school, and it is a gift for Atlanta baseball fans to watch him work and to watch this team work. And now they are but one game away, 9 innings away from the Commissioner's Trophy and the World Championship. So for our team, we will have complete coverage for you tomorrow on 11 Alive and the Big 36, WATL, where news is king. And, of course, here on 11alive.com. So much to talk about, so much to think about, so much to dream about. Until tomorrow, I'm Jeff Hollinger. Have a good morning, everybody.